Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the very demure Brie Tucker.
Very demure. Very hello. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hello. It's funny.
Hello.
We've had like all of the tech stuff happening this morning already, but it's going to be such a fabulous episode that we have for you today because it's all about overcoming challenges, which we have.
Oh my God, it has been a morning of challenges after challenge.
I mean, let's just say like you had a migraine.
I know. And I wanted to say, like, I took the drugs and the drugs are working. I took the drugs and the drugs are working.
It's
Took
always
my
good.
Imitrex and it helped.
It's always good for the drugs to be working. And then we had all the tech stuff trying to record this episode. And so we all logged off because we're very, very afraid of our recording program that it'll mess up the recording after you put all this effort into this amazing conversation. And then you look at your recordings and you're like, no, they're missing.
Especially when you were the one who is doing the editing. You're
Yeah,
like,
that's when
crap.
a
That's
crap.
going to be six different sounds that I have to work with.
So here today with us, we have Abby Miller, who is a holistic biz strategist, speaker, and the founder of Workwoom and host of the Workwoom podcast. She helps heart-led female creatives trust their body as their OG business coach and dodge burnout while scaling their dream biz. So if you have big dreams that you want to achieve, but you're a little bit afraid of what it might take to get there, or maybe you are seeing some challenges already, this is the episode for you. Let's get on with the show.
Yay.
Okay, here we go. And we bring you in, Abby. Okay.
Yay.
Welcome, Abby, to the podcast. We are so happy to have you here. And I'm happy to meet you in person since we're like in a little business group together. And I was like, oh, we align.
Yes, I know. It's Kismet. I'm so excited and can't wait to chat with you babes.
Well, it's even more kismet than you thought because as we're recording, you see my Kansas City Chiefs football behind me, and you're like, wait a minute, are you a Chiefs fan? And I'm like, yes, I grew up out there. And we find out that like the same area of town.
It's amazing. I
That
love
was
it.
crazy.
We could
That is
probably
amazing.
dig deep. Like if we take 10 more minutes on this, we probably know like so many of the same people.
Oh, I
In
bet
so
you
many
guys
of the
do.
same places. Yeah. It's crazy.
I've
love
never been
it.
to Kansas City. I feel like I need to go because a lot of conversations on the podcast go that direction, and I need to get in there.
About that, I'll say, because like I'm not dissing on Kansas City. I love you all. I love you. I'm just wondering how much it would actually impress you based on the fact that you have been to so many other places. And I'll tell you what, if I take Miguel on the barbecue weekend trip I'm planning, I will take you and Josh too.
I want barbecue.
We will make it a weekend of barbecue and plaza.
Oh,
I
yeah.
need to take you. Yeah, I need to take you in the winter so you can see the plaza lights.
Yeah. Well, how long do you go back very often?
No, because all of my family moved out here while I was in college. So I have not been back to Kansas City aside from a layover since 2002.
Okay.
It's changed a lot.
Give it some street cred because Casey has had a major glow up. And I've lived in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Maui, and London. Like I've lived in big cities.
Oh my God, girl.
You know, like I'm not just like someone that was born there and never left and is like, it's great. Like I've lived all around the world and Casey is magic. It is a magical, speaking of unicorns, it is a magical unicorn city. The art scene is amazing. The sports scene is amazing. The food scene is amazing. To parent there, like living in Austin as a mama, the Casey scene, like the kids museums and the children's hospital and the parks, like it's pretty, I'm just saying. There's more than
Okay,
marketing.
I think there's a lot more to
good.
Kansas City than I remember when I
There
grew up
might be
there
a lot.
from the
There might be a
80s to
lot.
late 90s. Yeah.
For
So,
sure.
Abby, I want to dig into your life because you had some interesting tidbits I want to talk about. You were a professional actress and a competitive figure skater by age 14.
Yes, both in Kansas City.
Both in Kansas City. So, like, tell me about this. Like, were you in theater? Were you in TV? Like, what did you do?
Your background's in theater, right?
Mine's in TV. TV in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew you studied theater.
I did study theater. You're right. For a year. And then I switched my major to broadcast journalism.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. Yeah. I've just always been a mover and performer, fell in love with dance at age 4 and started just taking every class, performing. And then, you know, I'm a loud person. I have a lot to say. And people were like, you should be in musicals because you dance and you like to perform. So just started doing community theater, fell in love with it. started taking acting classes. Kansas City has a really cool theater there called the Coterie Theater, which is a nationally recognized children's theater. They've won all these awards. It's amazing. And started acting. I think I got my first show when I was like 15 that was paid. And so a couple different theaters in KC. And yeah, by 15, I had an agent and was doing, because Kansas City, okay, this is a very Casey, it's like a Casey love letter right now. But there's actually, we're considered more of a neutral dialect. And so there's a really big voiceover and commercial scene there, even more than New York. I mean,
Interesting.
not more, but different. Like, yeah, because when I lived in Chicago, I was really surprised about the voiceover scene there because there's like more of a dialect. And so Casey gets a lot of kind of high level voiceover work. So anyway, yeah, I started doing commercials and voiceovers, and yeah, it was just such a blast. So
And
yeah,
then you booked your first international Broadway tour, like at 19? Like what show did you do?
Yeah. So I moved to New York City when I was 18, or actually, I think like 2 months after I turned 19. And because I had been working professionally by that time, like for 5 years, I was just like used to being paid. And my brilliant parents were like, you could go, like I had already applied to all these universities and toured. I was going to go get a degree in musical theater. And they're like, wait, you already have an agent, you already have experience, you have a resume. Why not just go see if you can swim with the big fish? And so I actually just moved to New York and started auditioning. And I mean, it's a wild survival of the fittest, insane world out there. But yeah, I booked a show when I was 19 and did the tour of Grease, the musical. Yeah.
Who were you in Greece?
Yeah, it was so fun. So on the tour, I was a swing. So I covered for Patty, who's like the obnoxious cheerleader that's like, don't you laugh the first day of school? And they're like, wow.
High ponytail.
Yes, the blonde, like, yes. And then Cha-Cha, who's the dancer. But in the movie, she's like a sexy older, isn't she from like a different school or something?
Yeah, she goes,
But
to
in the-
see Bernadette.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that you know that. I feel so seen. But in the Broadway show, she's a little rough around the edges. She's not supposed to be a babe. She's like very obnoxious, but she's a sick dancer. So it was a very fun part to play when I had the chance to. Yeah.
You have had so many experiences, Abby.
Yeah.
You've been all around the world. You had an international adventure business. Like what is an international adventure business?
Yeah. Well, so I think I just caught the travel bug at a young age. So I grew up homeschooling, and there's like a subset of homeschooling called unschooling. Have you guys heard of this term?
Yes. We've heard of unschooling.
Yeah. Okay. So my parents were of the belief that like if we're gonna be as radical as to take you out of school, let's go do some cool shit. And so I was very privileged, and I have really cool parents that were like, let's put you in skating lessons. Let's put you in dance lessons. Let's get you out there in the world. So I traveled a lot, just like, road trips as a kiddo. And then I just like loved travel. And so I had the tour of Greece, the Broadway show was Southeast Asian tour. So here I am, 19, living in Seoul, Korea. I mean, it was wild. And this is like Skype was just been born, it was like, there was no video Skype. You could like kind of call your mom with like a Skype credit, it was just like a different day. But yeah, so had that whole season of life. And a buddy of mine, Blake Bowles, approached me about creating an international venture company for homeschool teens, because he had the same observation, like, wait, these people are out of school, they can travel at like off season when it's less expensive, and also like if you're not going to go to school, go do some cool stuff, like kind of a similar belief. And so we birthed a company called Unschool Adventures, which still exists to this day.
That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. So we took it's crazy, you guys, because I was 23, and now looking back, I'm like, people trusted me with their children. Like, right? It's one thing to be a camp counselor, like in your home state for like 5 days in a campsite. Yeah. It's another thing to be like, hi, I'm going to take your minor to Argentina and we're going to study tango and Spanish for 7 weeks. Like, bye.
Well, I think that really says something about this imposter syndrome that all of us have. Because here you were at 23, you had no experience taking kids anywhere. You had a little experience traveling, but you just decided you had this idea and you went to go do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like something that a lot of us get hung up on. When we have these big ideas, we get in our way so often. We're like, oh, but I don't have this experience. Oh, but I don't have this experience. My whole like saying I say to myself so often that I'm trying to rewrite is, oh, I'm not a doctor.
Mm,
I don't have a medical credential. I don't have a therapist credential. All these
right.
excuses we put in our way when we have these big things, and you just went for it.
Yeah, totally. I know. And it's like the older you get, the more questions you start to have about your past self. But yeah, I think, I mean, again, it was my buddy's idea. He approached me. I love to travel. We had both been really plugged into, like, I as a homeschooler was kind of traveling the circuit as an adult homeschooler, like speaking at conferences and things like this as, you know, someone who had really loved their upbringing. And so we were really tapped into that community, and he was like, let's do it. And I think we just truly were like, cool, let's hire a lawyer and get a contract. Let's book. I mean, this was like, you guys, this was before Airbnb. You know what I mean? We're like calling travel agents in Argentina, booking an apartment. You know what I mean? It was just like actually so much harder then too. We didn't have Google Translate.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing. But yeah, I think like that is something that we'll never know. Was it inborn? Was it something my parents nurtured in me? But I do think I've always had this like ferocity and this feeling of just like, oh, let's just try it. Let's go for it. And I think
Just try it, just go for it, just
Just
figure
see.
it out. Well,
And I
we're
think-
gonna dig into some of those things and like challenges you've had along the way, and also like how things changed when you became a mom
yes.
right after this. So right before the break, Abby, like you told us all these adventures you had and how you just like went for the things that, you know, were on your mind and your ideas. What changed for you that you noticed when you became a mom in regards to pursuing these ideas and big adventures? Or did anything change?
Yeah, like, did
Oh my
you
gosh.
still take a group of minors to Argentina for 7 weeks?
You know, haven't done that since motherhood. So my buddy runs the company. I ended up resigning. He bought me out. So he's continued to run the company. That is all his now. But I actually did move on to lead yoga retreats. So I've been doing, you know, my own version of travel. And now I run a somatic biz retreat for entrepreneurs. So my work now is as a holistic biz strategist, as you mentioned earlier. And so I was running that biz for 10 years, maybe, and some change before my kiddo came along. So I have one girl, she's almost 5, and she was born in lockdown.
Oh, those are
That's a hard
I have
one.
a neighbor that had that, and it just, my
Yeah.
heart broke for her. I
Yeah.
felt isolated because during my first pregnancy, I was hospitalized for like a
Yeah.
couple of months. I cannot imagine the stress that everybody went through any degree of a pregnancy, let alone labor, delivery, and raising a kid during the
Yeah.
lockdown. That was hard. That had to be hard to lose so much of your community.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was life-changing. Like my
Right?
nervous system has been rewired. I'm a new
Yeah.
person. I mean, just totally insane. And we had a very emergent birth story, like just unrelated to COVID, but then COVID was just like another layer on it.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I will say is, I mean, talk about not giving up. Back to the question of imposter syndrome. You know, my daughter's fierce and she's here. She made it. She survived. I survived the birth. And what shifted for me, my work as a biz strategist and biz coach has always been coaching, leading masterminds, leading groups of creative women, solopreneurs, artists. And, you know, I could kind of like spread myself a bit thin as the maiden, right? Because I'm like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
just like pull an all-nighter. I'll just, you know, I led lots of retreats and I would just be like, oh, I'll plan the night before. I'll just stay up late, right? And then suddenly you have a tiny person that needs you and has like their own rhythm, and it all changed. And I would say for me, going back to work in late 2020 was such an eye-opener. And I had this full intuitive hit. I remember I was nursing my daughter at like 3 a.m, you know, and I was just not okay. I was exhausted. I remember just sitting there crying, and I was like, I don't know how I can do this, how I can be a working mama. And it's like, already like the work from home life can be isolating. And then it's like you're momming from home, you're working from home. We've just somewhat emerged from a pandemic. Like, what's even happening? And I just had this full intuitive hit of like, and my brand was always abbymiller.com. That was my brand. It was just self-branded. And I was like, this is not a me, this is a we. And I just knew it. And that like the next day I woke up, I was like, I'm rebranding. This is not the question you asked, but I promise I'm getting there. So this concept of, I was like, what do I do? What is the work that I do? And I was like, it's about helping women feel a sense of togetherness in their work, in their creative practice. And I was like thinking of the metaphor. I mean, I can't even explain it. It like dropped in my mind. It just work womb. Like as I'm nursing her, I was like, oh, it's like a womb. All you do in a womb is hang out and get nourished and become who you're going to be. That's all you do in a womb, right? And so I was like, oh, this metaphor of like a work womb, like a sacred, safe space where someone else is nourishing you and you get to receive and become who you are. So that was the metaphor and continues to be the metaphor of work womb. And I will say, so like I had that download and I just knew. So it was like, visually I had the rebrand, but also team wise, everything changed. Cause I was like, this is not a one woman show. I had like a VA here or there, like designer here or there, but I had to totally change. I call it your biz family tree and just like ruthlessly hire. And by ruthless, I mean my inner like budgeter was like, ugh. But I just knew. I was like, this is a together kind of thing. I need way more support if I'm going to keep working at like the caliber I want to be working.
That is such an important point because I feel like a lot of us feel like we have to do it on our own. And if we can't do it on our own and if we can't make the situation work, then like something is inherently wrong with us.
Right?
Like Bree's like me.
Yeah. No, I just like we have this conversation all the time between the two of us, right, Joanne? Like within our company, like me saying like, oh, I failed at this because it wasn't like perfect. And Joanne's like, no, it's fine. And then Joanne will be like, oh, I suck at writing this. And I'm like, no, it's great. Like,
yeah.
You need those people in your life. We definitely need it as parents. We need it as biz owners. There's so many like crossovers. You know what I mean? And I feel like the thing that I noticed the most now being a mama in the mom community and having been an entrepreneur, like, as you know, my upbringing now, like I've always been, acting and like at least like a freelancer, if you will, kind of, if not self-employed, is that question of, does everybody else feel this way? Is there something wrong with me? And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's the gift that I get to give people is normalizing like, nope, that's hard. This is hard. Yep. Sometimes Riverside is a butthole and it doesn't work and it's not you. It's just like normalizing it all the time.
Yes. And for all of you listening, Riverside is a recording program that we do our podcast.
And it's not a butthole. We love it. I use it.
Riverside is fantastic, except for when it's not.
Riverside is fantastic.
Like all of us.
Yes. Yeah. But it's interesting, this whole thing of thinking that we have to do it alone, because I know we had another guest on, Kendra Adachi, who writes The Lazy Genius. And she was talking about how like all the productivity advice out there is written by men. And we are taking this productivity advice as women, but we don't exactly have the same needs, nor are we set up in society or culture the same way as men are. Like men are kind of just universally accepted, I feel. If they have a big idea, if they have anything, it's like, I'm a man, I have authority. This is how I see it. Whereas women, we really need that support and community to thrive. I would argue men need it too, but they don't have the same kind of stereotypes against them as women do.
You mean like, come share with Abby, what is your husband's favorite line to tell you when you're feeling unsure about something?
Just approach it like a mediocre white man.
Yeah. When you were talking, that's what I was thinking of. I just had a client say it yesterday. We were like, what's your New Year's mojo? She was like, just going to live my year like a mediocre white man and slay.
That's pretty awesome.
That's great.
I know that so many people in the No Guilt Mom community, they have these ideas and things that they put on the back burner, and they think that their kids need to move out of the house or like get older before they even achieve them. So right after this break, I want to go into that with you, and especially your mantra about letting your freak flag fly. So we're going to talk about this right after this. So let's talk about like these big ideas people have, because there's so much fear, Abby, that I'm seeing going into big ideas, like whether women want to start a business, whether they want to write a book, whether they want to like create their own homestead and raise chickens, like whatever they want to do, there is this fear of being judged. Or, I mean, I've had the fear too of being abandoned by your friends and being told that it's like dumb and you're wasting your time going after something. You have something about letting your freak flag fly. Tell us about that.
And don't say it 3 times fast because it's
hard.
That's a hard one. I was stumbling.
Yeah, I feel like you have to like wrap it to get it out. Yeah, totally. And back to the imposter syndrome, I think that that's very normal, right? Like we are tribal beings, even though that's not how we continue to live, at least in, the United States. But
Yeah.
I believe that there is like we are communal beings, and so of course you want approval you want to know your neighbor, you want to feel safe, you want to fit in. That's like a survival instinct. And I think that the nature of entrepreneurship is that you are literally going to succeed because you are innovating. And when you're innovating, you're stepping into what's considered a white space, i.e., a gap in the market, that you're doing something differently. And so the thing is, like, you can't look in the rear view mirror and be like, hey, look at all these people behind me who have already done the thing I'm doing. It's like, no, all you have is the horizon because you are pioneering it. And this is why I run a mastermind. This is why I mentor high level creative and entrepreneurs, is because it can be so lonely because all you're doing is looking at where you're going. And there's nobody else that's like, oh, yes, I've done that exact thing.
Yeah.
And, so I think that like the freak flag piece is like, I think it's born out of self-knowledge, right? It's like knowing, if we're talking about, of course, my work, I spend all day peeking behind the curtain of businesses, right? So like within my context, I'm thinking of it as owning a biz and that kind of angle. And it's like, I think again, normalizing the fear, and then we just have to stop and tell our cute little reptilian brain, okay, you're just trying to survive. You're cool. You actually are going to survive, even if you homestead, or even if you launch a new podcast, or even if you make this choice. And so the discomfort is actually my body telling me that I'm honoring my truth. Because when we go along with what everyone else tells us, that's easy because there's a formula for that. There's a very well-paved road for that. But when you're like, I think I'm going to do this thing, but I'm going to do it this way, that's weird. That is a sign that you're innovating. And I think of Dana Flynn, who's like one of my mentors. I love her. She is a yoga teacher. She owned a yoga studio in New York City, New Orleans, and San Francisco. They were all open for, 20, 25 years. They all closed during COVID. I know yoga studios, man, during that pandemic, RIP. But she's amazing, definitely like a celebrity in the yoga world. And what I love, I'll share her story because I feel like it's relevant. So she was an MTV VJ. And
fun.
very successful in like the 80s.
Wait, what's her name again?
So this is like in the 80s. Dana Flynn, Dana Trixie Flynn. She might have gone by Trixie. Well, you have to Google it. But she was an MTV VJ. She was a Wall Street stockbroker turned MTV VJ. Yeah.
Seems like everybody has those stories who are like MTV VJs or
Right?
like Peloton instructors. I worked in finance and now I'm teaching Peloton. Yes.
The normal pipeline. Wall Street, DJ, yogi, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But she's so inspiring because she ended up becoming an addict. I don't know if it was just cocaine or alcohol or many other things, but just in that music world. And part of her sobriety was finding yoga, and ended up moving to India, studying yoga for years and years. And then finally, when she came back to New York, she like had this craft and this practice that she was in love with. But then she was seeing, yoga was still kind of new in the West, but it was like the studios were just white and quiet. And she's like, this is not how I want to do yoga. And you guys, when I found her yoga studio, it's like neon covered with glitter. You walk in and like Missy Elliott is blaring. Nobody was doing that in the 90s. Nobody was doing that. Yoga was like serious,
Yeah.
And I just think of her as such an outlier and such an innovator. And I like love her story because I think we can all think about like, no, you can't do that. Yoga's boring. Yoga's quiet. Whatever the belief we have had around it,
Whatever stereotypical yoga
Yes.
thoughts you have, they can be broken.
And it was like the fact that she mixed Missy Elliott, yoga, neon colors, and glitter, and with her co-founder Jasmine Tarkeshi, they became like massive successes. And we know that in every, think about any artist you love, any musical artist. It's like, so I feel like, I feel like I probably answered the question, but it's like honoring that feeling, that fear is never going to go away. And so I actually like to just directly name it, whether you're like talking to yourself or you're talking to your biz coach, like, oh, there's the fear again. And they're going to be like, that's cute. Okay, what are we going to do with it now?
It's true. Like there is that fear whenever you put out something. And usually like I used to have that fear as well. Like I was a teacher before I started No Guilt Mom. Before that, I worked in the entertainment business. And what I've found is that usually when you put out something new, there are more people there who are cheering you on and supporting you than are trying to knock you down. And it's a really scary thing to put something out there at first because you don't realize that's going to happen. And you also don't realize, I don't know if this has been your experience too, Abby, but like the people who knock you down, you look at them and you're like, sorry, lives. Like, why are they even taking the time to say this to me? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't take the time to knock somebody else down online. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, there's
No.
something going on with
Oh
them.
my gosh. And I haven't ever had like real big trolls, knock on wood, but the times I have had pretty overt criticism, like on social,
Yeah.
it's someone that, like, I'm not even going to like say where they work because I don't want to, dog them, but it's like there's no entrepreneurial bone in their body. Like, it's not like they have a side hustle, nothing. And it's like that is not like, okay, one of my favorite quotes in the whole world, it's Dr. Seuss. Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a childlike way to the Brene Brown quote, or where she's quoting, the like Daring Greatly, where she talks about, if you're not in the stadium with me, I don't like, if you're not bleeding and sweating and in the stadium with me, I actually don't care what your opinion is. And I think that's it, and it's tricky on like in this day and age with the internet. But I think anytime we are, whether it's, I mean, I think it's harder when it's our own self thinking that. If it's a troll, you can delete it and be like, goodbye. But it's when your own self is starting to turn inward and have that judgment that I think is the trick.
That is the tricky part. If it's your self-talk that's talking about that. Also with trolls though, and trolls are just like anybody online who says something negative to you. It's also an energy choice, I feel, because either you can fight back the troll, but that takes so much of your energy that you could like give to something else, or even like every time I've tried to react to somebody to help them see my way of things, I'm always drained.
Well,
Always drained.
You said something to me the other day. I was upset about something that came across our table, and you were like, I refuse to allow them to steal my joy. And I was like, you know what? Yeah,
Love that.
I'm going to try to use that a lot more. When I read somebody like writing something negative, I'm like, I refuse to allow their toxicity to cloud up my positivity.
Love that so much. And I just think golden rule, what would it take for me to post an overtly critical and negative comment on someone on anyone, but on someone I don't know's Instagram? It would not even cross my mind. I would be like, unfollow. If what you're creating is triggering me or like not cool, I've never in my life been like, well, so it's like, this person is suffering. Hurt people. And whoever's posting that is, on their own.
They're mad about something.
Sure are.
Yes. So we've talked about like so many challenges people are facing with taking their big idea and actually having action on it, from like the worry about what other people will say to worrying like the next steps about what they may be, or even if they feel unqualified for the role. What do you want to leave them with, Abby? These women out there listening in podcast land who have dreams of like writing a book or doing something big, but are just like afraid. Like, what can you leave them with?
You feel the fear and do it anyway. So I have a legit shark phobia. Like literally when I was a kid, I wouldn't get in a swimming pool because I thought a shark could get in. And I remember when I was in Australia with my adventure company everybody wanted to go surfing. And I had never gotten in the water below my waist because shark phobia. And I was like, you're never going to be on the freaking Gold Coast of Australia again. Or maybe not, who knows? But like, girl, this is your time. And we hired a surf instructor. And I was like, I'm never going to not be afraid of sharks. And I just told everyone in the group, hey guys, I'm like freakishly afraid. Like, it's a phobia. Like, I'm like incoherently afraid of sharks. I'm going to scream the entire time we're in the water. Just ignore me. Like, let me do my thing. But like, just so you know, I'm going to look like a crazy person. And they're all like, okay. And so I'm on the board, I'm paddling, and I'm just like, I'm not going to scream in the mic, but I'm like, and I'm just paddling and freaking out. And I'm losing my mind. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm about to die. And you guys, I fell in love with surfing. I was like, this is the most fun. But guess what? Every second in the water, I was like, I love this. A shark is going to eat me. I love this. I'm about to die. It never went away. What's that?
Are you still like super stressed anytime you go surfing?
You guys, I just led a retreat in Mexico. I went to like my belly button in the water. What is my mind thinking the entire time? A shark is going to eat you.
Yeah.
It's not a rational thing. It's some coding in my body. I don't even understand.
My daughter has the exact same thing. That's why I'm smiling. Like, she wouldn't even get in the bathtub for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And I just say, like, if we wait for the fear to go away, we miss our life. And that is what I want to say. Like,
mic drop to that.
it's just normalizing the fear and saying, okay, the fear is going to show up. The opportunity is, what are you going to do with it? And that's a huge part of the work that I do, is holding someone's hand when the fear comes up and saying, let's build a strategy plan around this. Like, let's build a bit of an insurance plan around this so that you can't back out, because the fear is going to show up. It's not if, it's just when.
Yes. 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 That is like what I live my life by as well. If I feel like I'm going to throw up, I'm going in the right direction. That's actually my
Totally.
mantra.
The two
Love
of
that.
you,
I feel a
man.
little, ugh, we're good.
I'm like,
That's the
okay,
way.
so like the two of you are besties, and I'm the one that's just kind of getting dragged behind because
So
Joanne
Brie,
can
you
agree.
have like really opened up to all new experiences.
Open up, yeah, well, because
lately.
you're dragging me behind. Joanne's like, we're gonna do this together, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
And it's been good. It's all been good. So Abby, what are you
So
excited
good.
about that's coming up in your life right now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many things. I mean, through my work, I run the most incredible mastermind of creatives, artists, solopreneurs, freelancers, and we meet every single week. And the devotion here is really like stepping out of the work from home, like especially work from home mama isolation, and letting your work be fun, letting it be seen. And kind of like we were talking with our tech issues at the start of the episode, it's like just never like jumping out of the DIY trap, the do it yourself trap. Because if you want to streamline and scale your biz, it's a people problem. It's a people opportunity, right? It's like who, not how. Like, who can you bring in? How can you get support? We've all heard the term. It's like your network is your net worth. And so I love. It's called the Elevated Circle. And so I'm planning some new exciting things, some like IRL components, my retreat, etc. So that is what like almost all my love is going to, outside of, my child and my family.
Yeah, that is so exciting. It has been
Yeah.
lovely talking to you, Abby.
You too.
And you're such a bright light, and you make me so excited and optimistic about the dreams I'm pursuing as well. So thank you so much
Les.
for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much. And I'll just say, if anyone listening feels inspired to connect, if this has lit a fire under your booty, I would love to gift a free consult so we can chat and see if I can help support their biz magic.
Freebies! I am on board.
And that link is right in the show notes. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, ladies.